Hey tubers, welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to show you my techniques for distressing wood to make it a mantle that looks as much as possible like an old solid timber. So I'm not going to go into how I built the box. You can do that on your own. Let's get right to it and show you my distressing techniques. Built my box. This would be the upside because here's the French cleat. Built my box 6 by 8 by 48 inches long, and I sanded down the corners to get everything smooth. These boards had a huge cup to them, so my joints did not work out great. I filled them with a little bit of wood putty, and I hope that gets lost in the distressing process. I've played around with a couple different techniques, and I think this is the one I'm going to go for from a distance. Let's see if I can get these showing on the... So this is with the hatchet, and the crack lines are done with a grinder and a real thin blade. This is just a wire brush, and it takes out the soft wood. Gives a real cool look, but that's not the distressed look I'm going for. This is a little bit more subtle. I kind of like this. It's got the cross lines. What I'm going for is to try and make it look as if this piece was cut with a bandsaw at the mill. So to do that, to get that effect, I'm going to use my Porter Cable Tiger Saw. Everyone calls these Sawzalls. And I believe it's Milwaukee that makes the Sawzall. Everyone else has their own brand name. Porter Cable, I don't know if they even still make this, but this has been a fantastic saw. Absolutely. This is well over 30 years. It's been dropped. It's been, at the construction site, dropped down a roof with the cord. Just an incredible saw. I absolutely would recommend Porter Cable, as long as they keep building this kind of quality of a saw. Now, the way you want to get this effect, and it kind of takes a delicate touch. First of all, this is a 12-inch blade. I don't want to get, angles, and I don't want, your saw should not be set on the oscillating mode. It should be set on the straight mode. So these saws have typically two different settings. One, it works in oscillation mode here, and another one, it just cuts straight back and forth. So for Porter Cable, it's a 1. Okay, let's get started. So if you look at this a little closer, I'm getting the edges just fine, but then it's smooth in the center and then back to rough on the edges. So I'm just going to keep working it. I'm going to have to do the edges quite a bit more in order to get it to hit the centers here. Now these edges you don't want perfectly here, so I'm going to run the Sawzall again this way and just gouge out a few spots. All right, now that's getting it. I just had to go deep enough. So I got the centers. This edge is just a little too consistent for me, so I'm going to put just a couple of divots here and there. So I lost my audio here, and what I'm doing now is I'm taking my angle grinder and I'm going to put in just a few cuts to mimic um, cracks and check marks. You sort of want to follow the grain as to where you think a natural check mark might be, and you want to be just a little bit inconsistent. You don't want straight lines. You want to you know, again, just kind of imagine what it would look like, what real check marks would look like, and then try and mimic that. So, uh, the only way to do it is to just do it. So now I'm going to do just a real light sanding with a 120 grit. This is just enough to knock down the surface. You obviously don't want to make it smooth. We've worked hard to make it, rough and rustic, but you don't want it, um, you know, too rough. This just allows you still see that bandsaw cut that you want, and yet get it smooth enough so that when you go to stain it, the rough areas are going to absorb the stain a whole lot more and be a whole lot darker, and yet that you still have some smooth areas where um, the wood grain is going to show through. Again, it's all, you just got to be artistic with this. Test it out, do some sample boards like I did, so that you get a feel for this, and then when you finally get to the point where you're working on your final piece, you're going to be a little bit more confident and know what kind of finish you want to get. So I put a coat of stain on my mantle, and it's starting to look good, but I do have a few problems here. So you can see that gap there. That's where I filled it with wood putty, and the wood putty just doesn't accept the stain in the same way that the wood does. Um, so I'm going to need to do a little bit of touch up there, and it's a few other spots. If you look down here, I think you can see a little bit of it there. Can't see it as well in that corner, but it's there. So just a few spots to touch up. So what I did is I made a little bit of a paste with the polyacrylic and a few drops of the Minwax stain, and then I dabbed that into the corners of the where the wood putty was showing, and it covered it beautifully. So the finish I used is Minwax semi-transparent honey 272, and you always have to do a test, because if you look at that, that is the same stain as that. So you always have to do tests to see what it's going to look like. Different woods accept the stain differently. Even the same species, the same wood, different parts of the wood accept stain differently. I do like um, how the wormholes turned out to get that effect. That's all I did was stab it with an awl. Let me show you what that looks like. So here's my awl, and that's all I did is stab it a bunch of times. And you want to kind of be random, and it's fairly easy to do. You don't want to cover the entire surface. Okay, so I'm just gonna brush on my top coat here. At first, I didn't like this polyacrylic finish. I thought, oh, that's not going to be as durable or as a real polyurethane. But I've really come to like it. The look that you get with a polyurethane just gives you that instant gratification. and the wood grain just pops, and it's just like, wow, this looks great. Um, and that doesn't happen immediately with the acrylic, and it takes a little time, but once it dries, it really does. It's a great finish, and you don't have to deal with all the VOCs. And um, hopefully, you guys are, when you're using the urethanes, are protecting yourself with proper respiratory equipment and ventilation. Otherwise, you're killing brain cells, and it's just not good. So thanks so much for watching my video to the end. If you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe would be awesome. And if you have any comments, I do read my comments, and I'll try and reply to them. But again, thank you, and get out there and make something.